Welcome to the Upshift podcast, where changemakers meet and commune and find out how each other is doing their part in changing the world. And today's guest is Reverend Dr. Charles Geddes, who wakes up every morning as just Charles. Welcome, Charles. How are you today?
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
So you know he's going to be a fun one. All right, well, I got to tell how I know Charles, because I do. Charles has been one of the founding members of the Big Sky, Montana retreat for what started out, I think, just the CSL, which is the Community for Spiritual Living, founded in 1948. Am I right? 1940? 20? No, in the 20s, 1920s.
Yeah, so we're 48 years back, so 1976. And actually, it was originally an International New Thought Alliance gathering, and then it became, after that first gathering, a retreat, spiritual retreat, independent completely, and we maintained that for 48 years.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for correcting me. But it certainly had been going a long, long time. And I got the privilege and the honor to present at this retreat twice. And I fell in love with Charles, like everybody on this planet does. So I wanted him to tell us about his journey as a change maker and a thought leader in our world, especially now. So welcome again.
You know, when I indicated that I was supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, none of us wake up feeling that every single day, because we live in a journey of life, and the reality that we are to step out of that belief in duality and separation, that is a huge process. But that as we embark on that, as we open our minds to that, our heart, which is a transcendent vessel, is already open to remind us that we came from unity, that we came from oneness. And when I align to that, I find that potent energy that is innate in all of us. In your beautiful book, Issues in Your Tissues, that coming to realize that that's the truth, and that we're here to shake it loose. We're here to free it so that we can walk in a sense of authorization and authority of our soul journey, which we really have. We're always a choice. It may appear not, but the key to that is that we're in choice as to how we respond. And that when we stay in that practice of alignment with presence, then we take time to breathe and we step back, place our hand on our heart, and remember, yes, I can do this. I can find my way through this. Yes, I can. And that's what I live by.
Well, Charles, when did this all start for you? The question is, there's two questions here. One is, when did this desire to be the thought leader that you are? And then what was it that triggered you into the work that you're doing now?
I was led early in high school to study the works of Edgar Cayce, and this wonderful book, There Is a River by Thomas Sugra, that reflected so potently his life and his readings. And when I read that, I was in complete remembrance for me of, oh my God, that's it. And so the journey and path of church religion and into my 20s, I could never really fathom that when I went to church, I came out feeling worse than when I went in.
You may not be alone there, so keep on walking.
And the complexities of my own journey and my sense of identity sexually, and how challenging that has been. Now I align to my soul, which is both male and female, and I have that, I think, quite beautifully in balance, but it's taken a lot. But to say what was the turning point, that I was introduced to science of mind, religious science teachings, I had to go to do a double duty and work, because in my 20s I was helping raise my 4 nieces, and they're like my daughters. And so I worked two full-time jobs. Well, not full-time. Went to work as a bartender.
I didn't know
And
that.
that was not full-time, but the bartender that trained me became my significant other for about 3 or 4 years in my late 20s. And he introduced me to the science of mind. And I was reluctant, but I did choose to go to a class that he said, well, if you don't want to come to church, come to a class, would you please? And he picked me up, took me there, and then really lasering on this story. I was enthralled. Dr. Laura Holman was the teacher. She was the first president of the International Association of Religious Science Churches and a brilliant mystic teacher. And I was enthralled by her. And she was mentioning that they were creating and going to have a star up on the hill. This was in Glendale, the church, gorgeous church, and that they were going to have that star so that people could find their way there at night. And so the following week, and she said, it's going to happen sooner than people, it's going to happen like soon. The following week, I went on my own, and I got lost, and it was fog in Glendale on a curvy street, Chevy Chase. And I pulled over to the side, and I said, Spirit, I always spoke with Spirit from as early as I can remember. I said, if this is to be something that I'm to be directed to for the rest of my life, then you reveal the way that I can get there. And otherwise, I'm going home. Thank you. And suddenly that fog cleared and that star was there, that beautiful shining star up on the hill that she talked about. It was there.
Amazing. Yeah.
And I knew I was this was to be my life journey. Yeah.
Yeah, to attend that. But then you're a servant. Well, I say that as a servant leader, you know what I mean? A servant leader, a leader of new thought. I mean, this whole podcast is about the new thinkers out there and the change makers. And you've been a pioneer. So when did you know that you're more from, I'm going to take this in, to actually being a deliverer of the message?
Well, that's such a powerful question because I choose to believe that I have opened to being a channel for that energy and presence to speak through me. And that even in the reality of preparing talks and lessons, the ultimate journey for all of us is that we have access to infinite knowledge and that we can tap into it when we get ourselves out of the way and that we open to be the divine listener for what wants to come through. And I see that in you, Angel. I see that in you in your writing, that yes, there's a huge amount of inner prep that we do, but the bottom line, we ultimately step back from that and we allow that knowledge to flow through us. That's what I've sought to live by, that when I'm up there, let me glorify that presence. Let me shine that presence, not my ego. Let me be unique as Charles. Let me be,
You check that box.
but let that wisdom that comes sometimes like, oh my God, where is this coming from? This is something. And when that happens, when it's like that inquiry, oh, yes, I'm open to receive and allowing that to flow, it takes hold in such a way. And there's been at times and moments in classes that I've been blinded by that energy. I literally have, like, for a period of time, for a few minutes, it's like, okay, this is coming through too strong. So give me time to absorb it.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't happen super often. Those are rare moments. But the potency of that realization, that's in us all to receive that. That is.
So as a channeler myself, I've channeled for people and their entities I've allowed to come through. And yes, the things that come out of my mouth to them sometimes are like really pointed. I'm like, I don't know where this is coming, but it's for you. And I know that after those moments of channeling for them, my body feels transformed. I mean, physically,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
because of that energy that's come through for them. But my question to you is, how do you get out of your own way?
Practice.
Because we hear that a lot. It's like, oh, you can do anything if you get out of your own way. What does that mean to you, Charles?
It means doing the inner work. It means doing the deeper soul work. It means being willing to go deeper in your realization of what you need to clear and heal to have new understanding. You know, the word healing means coming to a new perspective, coming to a new awareness. And that's truly the depth and breadth of that word healing, rising to something higher than what we knew before, that transforms us, that changes how we see ourselves. And I don't believe the ego is to be dissolved. I think it's to be evolved, and evolved in a manner and way in which we celebrate that uniqueness that we are, that we have fun with that, we play with that, but that the true driving force of my knowledge is my alignment with spirit, is what I sense in meditation, is what I sense in my walks with nature. And, you know, I've taken up some therapy personally in the past year that has, oh my God, talk about issues in the tissues and what it's brought forth for me. And that's what I love. You know, I'm 83, and I just want to inspire people that, you know, at any age, you've not arrived, and it's going deeper. And this new desert seminar event that I'm creating, when I knew Big Sky was over and I
Yeah.
had to accept it, huge amount of grief in that, but I knew I had to let it go. And I've created this new purposeful journey. And whether it's just the one event or it can be more, it doesn't matter. It's that you give your heart to something new, to the highest and best. You don't be attached to the outcome. You be immersed in the passion behind it. And there's a lot of learning in that this is happening. It's called A Time to Deepen. It's going to be a desert retreat, April 26th to May 1st, at a beautiful retreat center called Spirit in the Desert of All Pains.
Wow. 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 Well, I had a question for you, but I wanted to tell you a quick joke.
Yeah.
Have you heard about the Buddhist vacuum cleaner?
No.
It comes with no attachments. I thought that was a good segue from what you
Oh, that's perfect.
said. Also, you know, when you talk about changing, so getting out of your own way, changing the point of view, changing the point of view of yourself, changing, which I said in my talk with you guys, switching from judgment to curiosity. So in the science world, they call that neural pathways, right? So you think of one way, you do things a certain way, but to change sounds like a two-step process from what you're saying. Get out of your way, which I think involves pain. We have to admit it, like looking at those childhood moments that changed us that maybe we didn't know about, and those wonderful therapies like EMDR, like somatic movement therapy, that allows us to get to that moment and change it, right? I love, so the coming to the pain part, that's getting out of the way, dissolving that, and then shifting that pathway. Like, I'm going to step into, I'm okay, I'm enough, I do shine, because you do shine, Charles. But do you know that? I mean, is it something that, because as a change maker, you're out there as a pioneer all the time, being confronted with everything other than probably what you want the world to experience. I mean, am I saying some truth for you there?
Yeah, you absolutely are. You know, one of the most painful realities is taking in where we are in the world and the overwhelming sadness and grief and heartache that we can feel about that, about it, and that we have not evolved in the journey of humanity to be as completely open to knowledge and insight greater than we've ever known. And yet we still have this belief in separation, this belief in others, this belief in duality that that creates all of the depth of our pain in actuality. And realizing that the one thing that I've really come to value and what you just said earlier is stepping out of judgment above all of myself. And that's an ongoing process. And it's huge, it's quantum. And being the observer, being the divine observer of, and wow, could I see that different? Wow, could I view this from a place that isn't so emotionally devastating and harmful? Can I just be like from afar and like, wow, look at all the elements here. Look at what you thought in the moment in time and where you were. But can we open to see where you are now? To have a healing essence within you about yourself. And this I know about my contribution to the world. It's a tiny thimble, a little thimble, tiny. But that I'm charged with bringing a higher vibration to that thimbleful and offering that to others to consider. And if one or more receives that, what a blessing that is, because maybe they will touch more lives than I ever dreamed of. That's how I choose to live.
That's a wonderful goal. And would you mind sharing with us one of the toughest moments in your life doing this kind of work and how you got through it and what you used to get through that could be a devastating moment, but you rose beyond it? Do you mind sharing something like that with us?
But I'll keep it brief. I had a pretty devastating attack by 4 men many years ago that kind of banged me up really good. So far as broken nose and losing teeth and looking pretty awful and ugly and being left in a rainy night for dead, but pulling myself up from that. My first thought, and I did share this, I think, at the retreat, but my first thought was, okay, I'm not going this way because it's too embarrassing. That was what was pulling me up. This is not going to happen. I'm not leaving this way. And pulling myself into the bar where I had left and getting help to get me to emergency and get stitched up and everything that was necessary. But what I realized out of that, and on a deeper level than ever just recently, is that I have never forgiven myself for that incident. And in all the spiritual counsel I've given and people that have been attacked, the women that have been raped, I said, but you realize, this is not your fault. And I have never been able to say that about myself. And it's only recently that I could, through EMDR therapy, for the first time ever. But what I can tell you picked me up from that moment and moved me on, because there was nothing else to do. There was nothing else to do. And from my late 20s, I used to, and still up until just a few years ago, would lay in mountain streams. And the great message that I got from that was, you can only go forward. You can only move forward. Streams do not go backwards. They carry you forward. And so life will carry me on. And my angels, and I believe in angels, and my angels always said when I was in deep grief or pain, Charles, we know how to carry you through. We'll lead you. The only thing you have to remember, the universe has your back, and angels go before you and prepare the way. And we will lift you through. We will lift you up. And they have, through every point, through every moment of deep grief and loss, they have lifted me up. And now I'm realizing maybe there's a little bit of the angel in me to lift people up that have deep depression and sadness. So many people get so devastated in aging. And all I want to do is say, what a privilege it is to be able to look at your life in total in a way that few people have the opportunity to do, going into 80s, 90s, even 100. More than ever now. But in the meantime, what a privilege. And I want that privilege to touch as many as I can. And younger people too. I want younger people to say, wow, this guy is He's old, but he's kind of cool.
Another box I believe you checked. You know, if there was a spiritual gymnasium out there, if there was a workout places like spiritual workout here, I believe that you have worked that trust muscle. I bet it's a big pumped up muscle with you, because it sounds like you have relied on trust, which personally for me has been very, very tough, thinking that I've got to do it all myself and all that. I mean, self-trust was really hard, which also is about getting out of your own way, is trusting that you are on the right path and that you do know what is right for you, and trusting that if when you don't know that that path is going to show up, that's the unknown. And in these change maker, thought leader, pioneers, don't we deal with the unknown a lot?
Oh, yeah.
And what, so give us a motivational, you just did, in fact, for the aging, because I'm facing that myself. My partner's facing it. It's got some health issues that's bringing him down a little bit, because it's like, what can you, it's out of your control.
Right.
And that's, wow. So there you go. You've got the out of control. I trust everything's going to be okay. And it's like, but I really want to slow this process down. And that's out of your control. So help me through that quagmire, Charles. That is a tough one. Get us through that little thing.
It's surrender. And remember I said the word healing is about new perspective. And I believe we're all on this journey for an ever deeper realization of what we need to be cognizant of and learn. And some of the lessons in aging is realizing we need at times to ask for help, that we need to be open to that. And it's not something shameful and that we need to step back from and like, oh my God. So aligning that, what a beautiful thing it is at points in times. And I've had moments in my life that I've had to surrender to the not being in control on the physical level, and being in the humility to receive help and take it in as a blessing, not as something that is wrong. And it's love. And we're all here to love one another. You know, this little dog I have joint custody of, his name is Gus. It's a rescue dog. I share him with his mom, who is the property owner here. And I have Gus pretty much 50% or more of the time.
Show us Gus.
Is
he behind you?
Yeah.
There he is. There's Gus.
Well, I just knocked something over, and so that scared him. Because I'm out of here. But but he teaches me so profoundly that I have no idea the pain that this dog and other dogs and animals that have been abused go through, and that when they're rescued, their sole purpose is, you know, if you love me, if you care for me, oh my God, I will give you so much back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're here for one another. Yeah. And you know, we're eternal. We're souls. Souls don't age. Yes, the body does. And let's keep it as youth-filled, as vibrant, as energetic as we possibly can. You know, I love that when I go up on the platform, that I love to jump up and down. So that, you know, because I can. And that, you know, people like, wow, you know, and oh my God, I remember quite a few years back, but I was in my 60s and I did that, and it was deemed inappropriate for my age.
Oh my goodness.
So I kept on doing it because I love it being inappropriate.
There you go. You could definitely maybe change the way they looked at that.
Yeah, but the journey of aging, Angel, it's a privilege. At times it's so not, when we have to let go of physical control and things that alter how we have lived and the freedom we have. But when I look at people that have come out of the terror of war and have injuries that they've faced and how they've faced it, how they've come through, wow, you know, the aging, I'm doing pretty wonderful to realize that, oh, just let me inspire as long as I can. and as fully as I can, so that when I am called home and people think of me, all I want is to bring a smile in their face, and maybe they're thinking of me jumping up and down and like, wow, thank you. You made me smile. You made me feel better. You made me love myself a little more.
Well, though, speaking of that, is there somebody that has been in your life, past or present, that has made all the difference to you, that has helped you propel forward in terms of your journey or your direction?
There's far too many to recall one.
Mm-hmm.
And the inspiration of my first teacher, Dr. Laura Holman, but the inspiration of so many new thought peers and friends that have lifted me through, who that have loved me for just who I am. And there's far too many. And, that's the beauty of, I have friends all across the country at this stage in my journey to realize what I've received from all of them is beyond measure. I can't measure it.
Wow, you're in a position that I would hope everybody felt even a small bit of that kind of support, that unconditional, I love that word, unconditional support. And it sounds like you've gotten it, but you also give it. You give it. And I was thinking while you were talking about, this man is so powerful, yet you're not tough and hard edged. You don't have that, I can conquer the world. You're gentle and you're soft, and there's so much power in that. And you're a man. I mean, there is that man presence.
Thank you.
And to me, that's such an interesting perspective for somebody to know that you can be so powerful and do it through love and kindness, that it's actually more powerful than beating your chest and trying to get ahead. Can you speak to that?
I love that. I appreciate that. And that, the power in that gentle awareness and the potency that can emerge out of it. You expressed that you have the capacity to say things that are really potent and powerful in the moment to someone based upon that pure energy of love that is the core of it, the heart of it. And that when people feel that, first of all, when you can create a sense of safety for people, that they have a deep, immediate trust, that you are listening, you are caring to hear their story, not to be supporting stories that continue to carry a sense of victimhood forward, because we're victors of this journey. I am the victor of this life, but I've had experiences that have brought me down. Wow, yes, have they. And yet the whole potency of stories is ultimate empowerment. Yes, we rise. Yes, we can. And there's a gentle strength that is inside of me that says that mantra, yes, I can. I can do this. I can move on. Yes, I can. Yes, and I do.
Before we got on the actual live show, you had mentioned something about my book.
Yes.
And I'm curious because you're a very well-read, learned, experienced person in this world. What are you gaining? I'm just curious. What can you possibly gain from my book?
Oh, deepening my soul, deepening my soul remembrance. And as you expressed and went over all the chakras and what they represent, and the movement energy that can be so powerful, I'm choosing to want to get back to that, so that don't know that I will see myself moving as incredibly as you do, but that movement, yes, and that I mentioned that I'm going to be invoking a new thing when I get out of the shower. I'm calling it shake and wag your tail, shake and wag your tail, you know, and allowing that to be the morning wake up for me, that I'm doing that for 2 or 3 minutes, like, shake.
That's fantastic. It's kind of like shaking off the old, right?
Yeah,
Shaking off your old
yeah,
leaves, shaking off the old water,
yeah,
and creating space for that newness that the day has to offer
yeah.
you.
It absolutely is. And when I take Gus for his morning walk at 7:30, and there's a horse I feed in the morning too, and I take Gus out when Gus comes out. I applaud Gus. I applaud Gus. I love to applaud people. And Gus is wagging his tail, and then he does his yoga stretch. He does.
Yes. Down dog. Yeah.
So the dogs innately know about movement and
Yeah.
how important it is, and walking and how important that is. But Angel, your book is a beautiful revelation of you. And what I loved was the honesty with which you shared to the core of your being a look into your soul. And there is nothing more beautiful than that, when you're reading what someone has put their heart into and you're feeling the depth of what was behind their desire to create this, that other lives could be impacted by it. And I know when I write, and in the prose that I write, it's a holy thing. It's meant, may someone read these words and may they be lifted, because I've taken the time to share my soul. And you've done that in that book. It's profound and it's beautiful.
Thank you. I don't know, of course, how other people receive it, but you're right. I revealed things in there that I have hidden, and it's painful. In fact, the people that helped edit the book, I finally had to tell them I was so down because it was story after story. I was like, I promise you my life wasn't story after story of these horrible things, but it's what you have to, it's the things I've had to face. Yeah. To shake, shake off the things like the facades I've grown up believing.
Yes.
I like your shaking method. So, Charles, how do people find you? We're going to talk about your retreat too, because I know you want people to know about that retreat.
Thank you.
But how do people find you?
Currently, in the moment now, that they can go to the website for the retreat, which is atimettodeepen.com. It's that simple, atimettodeepen.com. And they will get full information. They'll get my phone number on there, and they'll get an email also to connect with me directly. I am so grateful for anyone that might want to connect with me to be in spiritual prayer and communion for a time, and I give that out of my heart. If they would want to call and just say, gosh, I could use some reflection, some prayer energy, would you help me? And I would be honored to do that. But the retreat, we have college professors that are a part of this retreat. We have people in healing modalities. It is a different kind of retreat. It is for those that want to do deeper soul work. The afternoons will be silent from 2 to 5, so that you have the opportunity to process what you're taking in through the day. And all the meals and your room cost and meals are included in that fee. There's a registration fee of $575, and the rooms for 5 nights and all your meals, it's $825. So it's like $165 a night. That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
oh my God, I would be so thrilled for anyone to consider. It's an investment. Take it in as that. And
atimettodeepen.com, right?
timetodeepen.com.
atimettodeepen.com. Okay, as we close, I'm going to give you a choice, because I normally ask my guests to give us a nugget, a wisdom of nugget, or something you want to leave us with, thought-provoking. I'm going to give you a choice. You can do that, or you can actually give us a prayer, because I love your prayers. Don't let me influence you. You decide. But like a prayer or a benediction, if I could use that word, but something that when the person is listening to this, when it's done, they feel I feel like that's some thought-provoking or just some love.
Oh,
What do you feel like doing?
I would love to do the prayer. I would
Okay.
absolutely love to do that.
All right.
So the first thing I ask is that everyone that might be taking this in, if you're led, put your hand on your heart and take 2 or 3 deep breaths, and ideally through the nostrils when we're in meditation or prayer. Beloved, beloved present, I open my mind to that transcendent heart within me that aligns me to the presence that I live and I move and I have my being in and at, that I may remember from whence I came, originating cause, pure energy, pure life, pure creativity, pure love, everything that is the ongoing reality of creation, of worlds without end, of forms, infinite, variant, yet everything about bringing things into form, into conscious awareness, individually, collectively, that we are all together in this journey, that every grain of sand, every blade of grass, every wave of the sea has been brought forth by that originating cause. And I am that. That is within me. And as I remember that, I remember the innate potency and power and gift of this breath and life, that I can be conscious of it and that I have influence over every living thing in what I choose to bring forth into creation. So may we all be conscious and aware on a deeper level than ever that it is about remembrance. I and you and me, we in that which is the eternal, ongoing, beloved presence, creating out of itself you, me, us, and we're in it together. So I declare right now, in completion of this word this morning, that we are celebrating that life force, that we are in remembrance of that unity, that wholeness that we share. And we celebrate that, yes, we can. I can choose to rise and live more vibrantly, fully, and passionately than ever. I can bring that vibration and energy with every step, with every day that unfolds, because I can choose that as my cause and purpose, celebrating that truth, bringing that vibration into this day. I declare it so, and so it is.
And so it is. And so are you.
Oh.
Thank you so much for
Yes.
sharing yourself with us today.
Love you.
I love you too. All right. Wow. Thank you, Dr. Reverend Charles, for that blessing. I just feel like my day has just gotten calmer, and that we've all been blessed, just a blanket of blessing. So thank you very much. And thank you all for listening. I'm your host, Angel Howard, and I would love to get to know you better. Send me an email at angel@angelhoward.co or book me for a speaking engagement. Come on over to my website, angelhoward.co, or even dive deeper into your own journey of self-discovery and buy my book, Issues in Your Tissues, on Amazon. So thank you again for listening today. And remember not to over obligate yourselves. It's the beginning of the year, and I know I tend to say yes to everything. Oh, I want to do this year. I want to do that this year. So I'm encouraging you to take a breath. I'm having to take a breath. I feel like everything's coming down all at once by January 3rd. So take a breath and go inside and really decide what you want to do and be this year. What brings you joy? And that is your upshift for the day. See you next time.